Hello everyone, it's Tina. I've got a DIY folder for you today, and you can turn this into a fan folder if you like, which is what I'm going to show you how to do, but you can choose to opt out of the fan folder part of it. But this particular kind, I'm going to show you what I call the marble effect. So to do the marble effect, you will need, obviously, a plain solid folder, color of your choice. I'm using black because black is going to be one of my main colors of the colors I'm choosing. A paintbrush, a cup of water, a paper plate or piece of cardboard. This will be used as your sort of paint palette or artist's palette. 3 to 4 colors of paint of your choice, of course, and newspaper to protect your table from paint. I'm actually using this cardboard box. It was the lid of a box of papers, so I'm reusing it, and I've already sealed the corners with hot glue gun just to make sure any paint will not be dripping from it. And the colors I'm personally going to be using today are Apple Barrel's Cobalt Blue. It's actually my favorite blue that they sell. And you can tell I've used this already. It's a little squeezed here. Apple Barrel's, they only sell this in a smaller container. It's called Laguna. It's kind of an aqua color, but a darker aqua color. I'm also going to be using Apple Barrel's black paint. And I'm also going to be using somewhere in the mix of, because I'm a little out of purple. So I'm going to try to see if I have any more of this metallic purple paint by Folk Art. I have 2 bottles, but they've been squeezed, so that tells me there's probably not much left. And as a backup, I'm going to be using the acrylic's violet paint. And as I've said in a different video, although I'm not sure if you've seen it, I'm not a big fan of the acrylics. Apple Barrel is my absolute favorite brand. There's a particular purple that they have that goes really well with the blue and the blue and the aqua that I've chosen. I like these 4 colors in particular because I like to create sort of like a Starry Night look, kind of mimicking that Starry Night painting, that very famous Starry Night painting. Of course, the only difference here is I'm not going to be putting all the buildings and things like that. It's just going to be a background. But I'm going to create a sort of what I call the marble effect. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And even if you've never painted in your life before, but you really want to try making this at home, you could easily make it at home even if you have no art experience whatsoever. It's very, very easy. All it takes is having the tools and also allowing it to dry at least 24 hours. So if you want to make this for school, this is a good back-to-school project, and at least do it 24 hours in advance. So do it one day, allow it to dry the next day, and it should be good to go by the next day. To be on the safer side, though, I would do it like probably a couple days in advance, just so that you can make sure that nothing sticks to itself. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to have us get started. Okay, so to create the marble effect, I'm going to show you this in this kind of direction. What I'm going to be doing first, before we start painting this, if you're wondering where I picked up my folders, I actually picked my folders up from Walmart. These folders were only 15 cents each. I don't know if they're still for that price, but 15 cents. I picked up 4 different folders so I could show other different styles of painting your folders that you could do. My favorite is the marble effect because as you put on these thick layers of paint, it'll allow the folder to last longer, at least a whole school year, depending on how rough you are with the folders, of course, things like that. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be removing this sticker. So let's see if I could do that really quick. Oh, it's not a sticker, so we're going to just paint right over it. So what next we should do is like remove the holes here, because if you don't, it's going to end up sticking there permanently. If you don't intend on putting this into a binder in the future, then you don't need to remove these. I'm not planning on doing that, but I'm still going to remove them because then I just think that's better. Just know that when you paint, the paint will probably spill a little bit onto the other side of the folder, but that's not a big deal. Just make sure you allow it to dry. So I'm just currently removing them. I just have to put the folder right in front of me so I can do that. So now we have those pulled out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the left-hand side. And I'm going to just take some of this paint. All you got to do is take, I prefer these bottles you could squeeze out of. The big bottles like this, because in my household we use a lot of black paint, so we got these big bottles, but you can't really squeeze these out. You have to kind of pour them out. I don't recommend using a whole lot of black unless you really like black, but again, you could choose any 3 to 4 colors that you like. I'm using 4. I'm going to do the best to try to use 4. If for whatever reason I'm not liking how the purple looks, then I might just avoid it, but we'll just see how this turns out. So all you have to do to start, and if you're a little concerned about how this is going to turn out, you could always do a practice run on a piece of cardboard that you can later toss out later, or use it as your art palette eventually once it's dry. So all I'm going to do is pour some paint at the very top of it, because mine's a little tilted. If you're having your folder kind of flat, that's okay. If your folder's kind of flat, then you could squeeze it all over. It's ideal if you can. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and do that anyways. Just little droplets. I'm just squeezing it a little bit so that it pours right out onto my folder. There's no wrong way of going about this. It's just having fun with it. So here's my cobalt blue is next. Oh, I should be sure, don't do what I just did. Make sure you shake your paint first, which I didn't do, because if you don't, it could be liquefied because it tends to separate. So I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit more blue than black, because as it mixes a little bit, it's going to get like a nice midnight blue. Okay, so now you can kind of see, I'm gonna show the camera in a little bit. If I lift it up, it's just gonna drip. I think I have just enough of this aqua color to get in here. I'm gonna do the same process with the aqua as I did with the blue. Not as much of the aqua as the blue, just because I don't have that much of it left. So I'm just going to try to get what I can. These paints do sometimes clobber a little bit. That's okay. The whole point of once you're done making this folder, it's going to have a lot of texture. It's going to look really, really cool. So I'm going to check out my purple paint, metallic paints. I'm not sure how much of this I have. I'm just going to set them upside down to see if I can pour some of it out. I really do like the metallic paints. If you can't find a nice shade of purple that you like from Apple Barrel, you could definitely use them. If you want to make yours look similar to mine, you could definitely buy, you know, the metallic paints. It's actually, the folk art metallic paint is called Metallic Amethyst. So these don't look like there's that much of them left. I use these a lot. I'm going to test out this purple paint. I don't think it's any good. I might just stick with these 3 colors, actually. I mean, this color could work. It's just, to me, I feel it's too dark. Oh, and the paintbrush I'm going to be using today to mix this paint up is something like this size, because it'll help you get through mixing it up a lot faster. So I'm going to try dipping my paintbrush into this, see if I can get... I think this purple is so old that I don't know if I'm going to be able to... Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to use this at all. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to use this. So I guess no purple in this one, unfortunately, but that's alright. It's still going to have the effect I want it to have, so you can see what I'm talking about. So before I start mixing it up, I'm just going to show you how it looks right now with it all dribbled on. And this is totally normal. This is exactly how you kind of want it to look. It doesn't have to look exactly like this, but similar, basically. Let me see if I can back out so you can see it better. Here we go. Sorry about that. So this is basically how it's looking before I even mix it up. So the only thing you need to do is take your brush. You want it to be pretty wide like this, and you're gonna make what was I thinking about calling it? circular motions or wavy motions, swirly motions, whatever you want to call it. You're going to be doing that and trying to lightly blend a little bit. You don't want to blend it to the point where you make a completely different color and it's all solid. You don't want to do that. I mean, if you really wanted to do that, you could, but the marble effect wouldn't be a marble effect if you did that. It would just be a different shade of color folder. So I'm going to show you the process of how that's going to look. So I'm just going to be, there's no rhyme or reason to this. I really like it with the purple though. Unfortunately, I don't have any purple. And then you just keep moving things around. Make sure you get all the original color of the folder covered up. Unless you like some of it showing, that's up to you. I like it completely covered. I probably should have started from the very top, dripping things down, but that's alright. The color's still gonna look cool. So again, swirly, circular motions. Kind of want an even amount of all the colors. And I'm going to keep mixing this up, and if I feel like I'm not too happy with it, I could always squeeze out more paint. Same with you, if you're thinking you'd like more of the other colors, you could squeeze out more paint. I'm going to be particularly more careful with the areas where the holes are because the paints will drip through. You don't have to be super careful, just a little bit. And when this dries, it looks really cool. It's better if your folder can lay flat because then you could you don't have to worry about things dripping towards a certain area. And I'm using the cardboard because I don't mind if it gets full of paint, because I'm going to keep reusing this cardboard for the same purposes of making folders and other art projects that I like to do. Let's see, I think everything looks covered up. Yeah, looks like everything looks covered up. So if you like how this looks, you can stop here and allow it to dry for 24 hours. If you want to add any, I'm going to call embellishments, this is a good spot to do so. I'm going to make mine into a Harry Potter fan folder, as opposed to fan fiction. A Harry Potter fan folder, and I already have pre-painted Harry Potter characters. Very simplified. They're not meant to look exactly like the characters. I think I'm going to add just a little more to this folder until I'm completely satisfied, and I will show you what that looks like when I'm done. I'll be right back.